I decided to prepare for this episode by visiting my local AC Moore store and stocking their yarn aisle. Beginner knitters and knitters in general find that local craft stores come in handy for finding the yarns for different projects, so that's where my oldest daughter and I chose to go for a little photo shoot. We don't have a yarn shop very close by, so I thought it was a good idea to show you, the beginner knitter, what is available in most local towns. Now let me stop and talk a minute about the two types of yarn fibers, natural and synthetic. In local craft stores like AC Moore and stores like Walmart, you'll find a few natural fibers, especially cotton yarn, which is really popular, but they sell mostly synthetics or synthetics blended with other fibers. Natural fibers like the cotton, or wool, bamboo, alpaca, and hemp, are made from natural ingredients such as plants or animal hair. Synthetic fibers are man-made materials made from chemicals. There are pros and cons to both natural fibers and synthetics, so I'm going to go over those a little bit. The pros to a natural fiber are that they have little to no chemicals, they're breathable, biodegradable, and very comfortable to wear. Unless it's a super scratchy wool, but there are wonderfully soft wools out there from super soft sheep. A few of the cons of natural fibers are that they can sometimes be very pricey. Many require hand washing, and you need to store wool items away from moths. The pros to synthetics are that they're cheap and they're usually machine washable. You get bang for your buck and ease with caring for your finished knits. The con is that they're made from chemicals. That speaks for itself. Chemicals are not natural, bad for the environment, can be harmful to skin, etc. But they still remain a very popular yarn because of being inexpensive, easily accessible, and easy to wash. I personally love natural fibers, and I wouldn't recommend using synthetics for baby clothing or for someone who has a skin sensitivity, but there are many wonderful projects that acrylics are popular for, such as afghans and scarves. Since this episode is focused on the beginner knitter, I wanted to help people who have little to no knowledge of yarn choose their first yarn as they learn the art of knitting. If you have a local yarn shop close by, I would pay them a visit. But if you don't, I wanted you to see that there's lots of local stores out there that do carry yarns that will meet your needs. If you have sensitive skin, I recommend buying a cotton or a natural fiber, but if you don't, I would choose a yarn that is pleasing to your eye and feels soft to the touch. Make sure to look at the labels when choosing your yarn and choose a fiber that's not too thin. Thin yarns won't be very easy for you as you're learning. If you check the labels, you'll see that most yarns have a number indicating the yarn thickness. I recommend using a 4 or larger. If you purchase yarn at a yarn shop, you may see that it says worsted or bulky for the weight instead of a number. I recommend beginning with a worsted or thicker. Look at your label and see what they recommend for a knitting needle to go with your yarn, and get a set of straight bamboo needles if possible. Metal needles are fine, but I find beginners struggle more with stitches falling off metal as opposed to bamboo. The labels will also show what the yarn fiber is made of, so look closely. Okay, so as we move on to your first actual knitting lesson, you should think about what you may want your first project to be. If you want to make a dishcloth, grab some cotton that has a weight of 4 and a pair of size 7 straight needles. If you'd like to try a scarf, grab a bulky yarn with a weight of 5 and a pair of size 10 straight needles. Or hunt around to find a beginner pattern you'd like to try and see what yarn and needle they recommend in their pattern notes. Of course, you have to get comfy with actually making the knit and purl stitches, so you'll be practicing first, but choosing a yarn that will also be great for your first project is a really good idea. If you join Ravelry, which I highly recommend, you can search patterns with specifics such as if it's a knitting project, if it's free, what level you are as a knitter, the type of yarn you want to try, the size of the needles preferred, etc. I'll be doing a Ravelry tutorial soon to get you acquainted with it. I hope this has helped you choose your first yarn and to get a little bit more knowledge of the different yarn fibers available. Now it's time to move on to my actual first knitting lesson. So are you ready to get crazy and learn how to knit? Get ready to cast on. Thanks for watching!